Hey gang, so here we are, we're at the next day. This is Greycat, Argo, and Consolidated Outland. So let's go ahead and get into it, shall we? We have got our LTI token of the week, so let's check it out. So this is the Greycat MDC, and I'll get into its sale page a little bit more later. But the basic idea is that it's the MTC, as in Thomas, which kind of had a little turret, and it could carry 4 1/8 SCU boxes, little hand carry ones in the back. This one, I don't believe, actually it might be able to carry them on the outside. The MTC could carry it internally. I think this one might actually have a rail back there that can carry it on. I don't know. I'll have to actually look at it. I'll look at the sale page. Sale page will have it. But anyway, this one has a remote PDC. So yeah, that's a thing, because as you can see, this person is standing outside. What they said in the little video on this is that it does not have to be manned to work. It fires automatically. So as long as you have it powered on, you get out, you go and do things, it'll just work as a PDC that's sitting on the ground automatically. And I can think of probably 20 ways to exploit that off the top of my head, but I don't know. I don't think they would have put it in the game if they hadn't have considered some of them, because by now they've got to know how we think. Anyway, they had the next episode of Talkin' Shop. That was interesting. Very cool. They talked about this. They had another appearance by Jax. I won't give too much away. I'm kind of wondering if paying these voice actors is where a lot of the budget for the sub money goes. If so, I hope they keep these going and it's more than just the 3 episodes, because while they're very cool, I would much rather have 30 to 45 minute long shows on the game development, especially on some of the game loops they haven't done. Okay, that's enough me pontificating. Let's go ahead and get into the new things. Like I said, the MDC is $50. It is the LTI token of this IAE. So when I get into the chains, I will explain how LTI tokens work. Actually, screw it, I'll just do it now. Basically what an LTI token is a very cheap ship or vehicle, typically a vehicle or like a motorcycle or something like that you have lifetime insurance on, and then you apply a bunch of upgrades to it. So if you wanted a ship that's been out for a long time, say something like a 600i or a Carrack, something like that you really would want lifetime insurance on, because honestly, you'll be able to buy these things in game for pennies on the dollar. Like an hour of gaming, you'll be able to buy one of these. But a 600i or an 890 jump or something like that, probably not so much. So if you buy a chain, starting with this, the LTI carries forward up the chain to the largest ship. So that is why you have an LTI token that starts as a small ship. That said, this is kind of a useful little vehicle. I could easily see groups that are going to be building bases or ground mining, or even someone like Merchantman coming in, landing, and having like a support ship drop off 10 of these things to just kind of act as a mobile air defense system around this big juicy target of a mall. That's enough about the MDC. I'll talk more when we actually get to the sale page. This is the MTC. So it's got an enclosure back here, carries 2 people, has the turret. Very kind of zippy little car. It's kind of more the answer to the Cyclone than the Ursa, though. There really isn't a lot of places to sit in this. There's the driver's seat, and then there's the jump seat that controls the turret. If you don't have someone in the jump seat, then the pilot actually controls it. PTV, this used to be the most useful vehicle in the game because it would fit in every single vehicle. Now that we've got bikes in the game, you don't see them as often. They are kind of fun to drive around. I have, I think, 1 or 2 of these still. And I've got the old skins that you could get back in the day when it was one of the few drivable or flyable vehicles in the entire game. But they're going to be doing a little bit of a rework or an update on these, but we haven't seen it yet. What these will be used for in the future, maybe driving around larger hangars, like kind of what you see here. I don't know. Their use is dubious, and in game they are super, super, super cheap. So even for $15, save your money. The rock. The rock is useful. Obviously, it's a little less useful now that we have the Geo, but which is also made by Greycat, so that's an interesting choice. Or is that Argo? We'll find out soon enough. But anyway, it mines the larger rocks. They're too big for hand mining, but too small for something like the Prospector. $55 is actually pretty good value. You take one of these things out and you mine any of the mineable rocks, it's going to pay for itself pretty quick. That said, you got to have a vehicle that'll actually carry it. And we'll get to that when we get to Consolidated Outlands, because there's one that's perfect for it. The Rock DS, on the other hand, is a DS stands for dual seat, I believe. You can have a pilot, a driver, and a person out on this external turret that controls this. It does carry a bit more cargo than the regular Rock, but it's a lot less maneuverable and it's a lot bigger, so it's not as useful. Almost no one uses these things, and for $75, buy anything else, and if you really want a Rock DS, buy it in game. The Steve. So we're going to be getting the UTC, or is it UTR or something like that? The Jeep version of this. This one's very fast, very stable, good off-road vehicle. Two-seater, can lock guns on it. Can't carry any cargo. It's basically got this wheel decoration up here that you can't really do anything with. Other than that, $40. Again, with all these vehicles, I say buy in game. And that is it for Greycat. Greycat does not have many vehicles. They do have some paints. So these this harvester paint, this orange, is cross compatible. So if you have a regular Rock, you can put this on it. Even though this is a picture of a Rock DS, it's cross chassis. So you can put it on any of them. Let's see, is that it? That's it. And then you got this sort of puke green, electric green paint for the Steve. And then you've got a new one, which is the Perdition paint for the MXC, which I assume means it is compatible with both the MDC and the MTC and whatever other whatever C's they come out with. So gang, that is Greycat. Let's push on over to Argo. So this is Argo Aeronautics. They have some of my favorite interiors in the game. They really do. It feels like the ships from Aliens before they get weathered and beaten in. They're just really well designed and they feel homey. It's really hard to explain until you're actually in them. Heavy industrial ships is what they're known for. The war bond for today is the SRV, which has no guns but a gigantic tractor beam. I have actually used this in game and made money off of it. We had our friend with the Reclaimer pull that, and me and another friend had SRVs, and we went out and we would find derelict ships like parked around stations and stuff like that, grab the ship, fly it up to the Reclaimer that was kind of off in a middle section between two waypoints where it wouldn't be seen. Someone would have to get very lucky to land right on it. So we would just go gather ships and bring it back to the Reclaimer so the Reclaimer would be safe. The only thing we'd lose if somebody attacked us was an unarmed SRV and a derelict ship. So there was nothing to lose. And then the Reclaimer would just munch everything and get all the money. And then once it was full up, then we'd land it and make money. So the SRV does have some uses. Its uses aren't really in the game yet, but you can find edge cases where it is. I would almost say buy in game just because it's so specific in what it does. It doesn't even have a cargo bay, but cool ship, which is what I could say about a lot of Argo ships. They're all cool. Okay, yeah, so Argo is the Atlas. So this is the tractor beam model. You've got the Geo, which can jump. Keep in mind the Atlas cannot. It's a walker. The Geo can actually jump, and it's a miner. And it puts all of the mining into this backpack, which you can't really see on any. You can kind of see it right there. it puts it into a 1/8 SEU box sitting in the backpack. And you can just keep reloading those in over and over and over again. So you can take one of these and something like a Titan with a bunch of boxes in the back and just keep loading this thing up. And this mines the same size rocks that the Rock does, and the Rock DS, but you can also put it in low power mode and mine the hand minables too, where something like the Rock or the Rock DS will overheat those and cause them to explode. Moving on, the CSV SM, there is going to be another version of this that has, I believe, 2 drones, and it'll be used in building. But the SM carries, I think, 4 SEU of boxes of 1 SEU each. It's a single seater. It's a driving vehicle. Very tiny, $45. Unless you were using this as an LTI token, which you can't anymore. It's a buy-in game. It's just a local cargo mover. We do have a guy that we kind of let have one of these when we're going on a loot run, and he just throws boxes in the back. And as he's gathering loot, he'll just throw it in the boxes and then drive this whole thing back to the ship. Let's see. Moving on, the Mole. This is the medium miner. So it has 3 size 2 mining lasers, has an interior. You probably need 4 people to really get your bang for the buck with this one, but you can conceivably, and a lot of people do, solo mine in this thing. You basically fly up, you kind of park the thing over a rock, then you get out of your seat, climb down into the lower front turret, and then mine there. But this thing really shines when you have 3 laser operators. So even if you go out with 3 people and you have the pilot climb down, that's where it really shines, because you can crack rocks and then hoover them up as fast as you want. It's a very cool ship. A little bit dated, but the thing about Argo's aesthetics is that even though it's an older ship, it feels like it fits. Speaking of the MPUV, so the MPUV is an older ship, and what it actually is, this part right here is actually the MPUV. This right here should be a modular part that can just drop off and on. And since the early days, we've had a cargo pod, which has 3 jump seats in it, and I think it could carry like 4 SEU, not much. And then you have the personnel version, which this right here is actually the lifeboat from, I want to say, like an 890 jump. There's one vehicle in the game that actually has this, and this is actually a life pod. I think it has 3 jump seats on either side, or 4 jump seats on either side. Small cramped space, but you could move people in this thing. No quantum drive, so you are flying the slow way in these. Now this is the MPUV tractor, and this is probably what the MPUV actually should be. Is this right here is, I believe, an 8 SEU box? Question mark? I think so. But anyway, this is the MPUV, and this part is modular. So really, eventually what they'll do is they'll probably do away with the personnel and the cargo, and they'll just have these as add-ons that you can put underneath a regular MPUV. But right now we've got 3 different vehicles. And this one obviously does not come with the crate. You have to attach the crate. The RAF. So this one saw a huge resurgence lately, and it has one of my favorite interiors. It used to be that it just sort of had 4 generic, almost like 32 SEU boxes going across the back. And when you bought cargo, it filled that space. But once they physicalized cargo, they pulled those boxes out of the way and then made the whole bottom of this thing a cargo grid, which was a fantastic idea. And it doubled the amount of, well, I don't know if it doubled the amount of cargo, but it greatly increased the amount of cargo, I think by like a third or a half again. 125, this thing, because they increased that cargo, this is the last time it's going to be available for 125. So if you really wanted to raft, if you've been flying around lately, building a upgrade chain to get a raft, probably a good idea. Not a combat ship, but a very good cargo mover, basically a sky crane. Will probably be, I wouldn't say rendered obsolete by the Hull B, but the Hull B carries almost double the amount of cargo this thing is, just to give you an idea of how much cargo the Hull B carries. But this will still have a niche somewhere. Let's go ahead and look at the skins. Of course, got Firebrand paint, which again, it's not new. This is one that they have a lot. The Dark Storm paint, which almost looks like Hurston colors, so it's that black and gold. And then the Raft Puller paint, which is kind of white and gray, and I believe that's it. They're not releasing as many skins this time, and you guys know me, I'm a skin whore. Let's scoot on over to Consolidated Outlands, or SNU. So, these guys, they're kind of going for an industrial day here. These guys are kind of a weird mix of ships right now. It's almost like if CIG has a concept that they don't really know where it fits, they drop it into Consolidated Outland. You'll see what I mean. So they've got the hover quad, which is basically a quad that flies, $30, really expensive for this kind of bike. It is a pretty stable bike. I think it's relatively fast, no guns, buy it in game. The Mustang Alpha. So a lot of people, this is their first ship that they ever get, and then they quickly move on to something else. $30 for the regular version, carries some cargo, flies really well, very, very basic ship, but does look pretty and does fly well. The Beta kind of sacrifices that cargo for a living interior. Kind of got, it's not as cool as it used to be. If you ever get a chance, look at, what was his name? I think his name was Tactical Advance. If you get a chance, do a YouTube search for Tactical Advance Mustang Beta. He would do tours of all the ships back in 2014 to like 2016, but he shows off what the interior used to look like. It was very cool, but basically the only way to get into the interior is you get into the seat, and then the seat flips around, then you can get back into this area. Again, it doesn't carry cargo, has a little bit longer range. The guns are unimpressive, but it's basically a starter ship. Beta's kind of a fun one, but you're not going to win any popularity contests with it. The Delta, again, it is a quote-unquote combat ship, but for $65, probably a bit more expensive than what it needs to be. One of this thing's claim to fames, it's a little bit tankier than the regular Mustang, but that's not saying a lot. It does come with these, they're not bespoke, but they're rocket pods. They're basically dumbfire missiles. I think they're size 1s, basically. Kind of cool if you're attacking ground targets or something that isn't really moving all that fast. Very hard to hit a vehicle or a flying vehicle with them. I don't know, maybe like a capital ship, but I wouldn't want to try to tackle any of the capital ships with this thing, not with the PDCs. Still flies nice, but there are better fighters in that category. $10 more, you got an Arrow. The Gamma, there's a racer. They basically came out with this one. They used to have the, what was it? The Delta? No, this one's the Delta. They used to have a racer that they sold initially that was part of a promotional package, I think, for a graphics card. And a lot like how they released the Firebird, the Saber Firebird, and the Saber Peregrine to kind of be the Saber Raven, which was sold with the Sony hard drive, who's Optane, that's it, the Optane. So they sold it with the Optane, so they couldn't sell the Saber Raven again. So instead, they basically made more ships that were similar, but not the same, so that they could maintain that exclusivity. Same thing here. This is the racer, the original racer. Remind me down in the comments what its name was, but it was exclusive, I believe, to a graphics card that is no doubt 10 years obsolete now. The Nomad. Nomad is a great starter plus. It is weird looking. They really need to just make it so it lands on the damn ground as opposed to hovering above it. But really kind of an effective starter. The one thing that makes it different from the other starter pluses is that it kind of has a flatbed back here, and that flatbed can actually fit a rock. And they had a starting package that I forget what they called it, like rock and roll or something like that, but it was a Nomad with a rock, and just a really, really good value because you could fly around in the Nomad, log out on it. It does have a full interior. The guns on it aren't terrible. It doesn't fly bad. It's not terrible at combat. I wouldn't want to take on dedicated dogfighters, but I mean, you can kind of hold your own against NPCs. And if you can carry a rock, you can make a fair amount of money with just this and a rock. So $80. Honestly, that's kind of a fair price for this thing. Let's push on to things that are ridiculous. Ooh, view offers. Let me guess. Sold out, sold out, sold out. Yeah, big shocker. Yeah, the resellers have bots that'll buy these things. You never really stood a chance. You'll always read on Reddit that a few people got them, but not nearly as much as the resellers do, and they'll sell them for $4,000 or $5,000, and people will buy them because this is the end game construction chip. This thing will be able to build space stations that can build a bangle, so they are worth their weight in gold. We have, I believe, 2 or 3 in the Carnival, so we're set. I didn't have to win an F5 war. They're pretty cool. I don't own one. Not really my bag, but looking forward to seeing them in action. They are actually being made right now. I would assume this price tag is going to go up to like $1,200 when it's done, just because it's so integral to the Star Citizen endgame. And then we're going to come on down here and look at the paints. Again, no new paints here. They're going with the black and red. So the Terminus, the Jackal, and then this sort of blue and bright yellow Murray Cup paint. That's kind of cool that they actually made a paint for them. That's a community run race, which is pretty neat, which I think is across Daymar. Is that's got to be the Daymar rally? I don't know where the Murray Cup is. It might move. I'm bad. Anyway, there we go, guys. That is it for the various sales pages. The Greycat MDC, and they do have the MTC here too. That's interesting. But we'll go to the MDC and check this out. So again, this is automated. I already talked about this one largely, so I won't go into too much detail. Yeah, this is an automated gun. So as you're driving along, you don't have to control the turret. The turret's controlling the turret. And a lot of people have already figured out that you can pull this thing off and slap it on the ships with PDC mounts, and it works pretty well. And they have a few options. We'll get to that in a second. But as long as you keep the weapons powered on in this vehicle, you can leave and it will run and keep you protected. I don't think one PDC will be all that effective, but you put 3 to 10 of these things together, you're probably going to be able to lock down something like Brio's Breaker Yard. And I could see someone trolling by just leaving 10 of these things there and then logging off. I'm curious how CIG is going to deal with that. Of course, the ballistic one will eventually run out of ammo. So again, eyes on the road, it's automated. You don't control the gun. I'm going to scroll on down here. So let's go ahead and look at the paint. So we got Factory Standard, we got Timberwolf, we got Cadet, we got Perdition. That one's pretty cool. That one's pretty neat. Ice Front, which of course is your digital camo, which is already obsolete. But anyway, let's scroll on down here. So nope, those are all the ballistic ones. Let's see. Here we go. There's the Ice Front game, so you can sort of see it there. Now this one, this $45 one, it looks like it comes with all 3. So there's ballistic, there's missile. I could swear there was a laser one too. Let's double check. So bonus items, let's just go ahead and look, see what's in there. Come on, open up. Also includes, so it's the Ice Front paint, the Perdition paint, the PDS and the PDS turret. So personal defense system, I think that is just, I don't think that's the laser version. Let's see. I think that's ballistic. Plus missile and laser point defense system. Okay, so this one does have all three. So this has the ballistic turret is default, the laser turret, and the missile turret. That's what I was wondering. So that is pretty cool. That is actually decent value. I don't... Okay, so this one comes... that looks like it's the MTC and the MDC, or is it just two... Yeah, so this one is the MTC and the MDC. And then this one is Warbond. What's different about this one? Oh, this one's concierge. So you get the extra paint for free because you're concierge and you've spent $1,000. This one, you just get the basic paint and all three. So 45, again, not awful. Again, dual pack, 85. I think that's the same. You just don't get the extra paint. So let's roll on down. Yeah, so again, just for buying it with credit, it's going to be $50.95 as opposed to $45.85. So basically $5 difference and $10 difference. Got paints down here. Moonstone, it looks like that one. I don't think they showed that up here. No, so Moonstone is concierge exclusive. So that one right there, pretty cool looking. Would I buy it for something like this? I mean, probably. Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. I would say if you're just buying this as an LTI token, this is stupid. Just get the regular version. But if you're not, actually, it might just, I don't really see a reason why you wouldn't get all three. Because, well, it's Warbot. Okay, so that's what it is. So if you spend real money, if you spend $45 real money, you get all three turrets. If you spend credit, you just get the basic vehicle. So that makes sense. So they're really trying to encourage you to spend real money on this one and get those three turrets. If you're going to use it as part of a chain, just get this one because you're going to lose the PDCs when you upgrade, I would assume. Anyway, let's move on to the Q&A. This is the first ground vehicle with PDT. What inspired the team to create this type of vehicle, and what gameplay scenarios does it best serve? Trolling, mostly. While we see the MDC as being ideal to helping defend a location, its restrictions on engagement and weapon range still leave space for heavier anti-vehicles such as the Ballista and the Centurion. Yeah, I'd buy that. This sort of seems more defensive, where I would say the Ballista and the Centurion, while they're defensive, they kind of have offensive range. So yeah, I'd see the MDC as being able to shoot down bombs and stuff that would be dropped to take out the Ballista and the Centurion. So you'd probably want to pair a couple MDCs with one of these vehicles. The Ballistic Gatling PD-2 is a new type as compared to the existing point defense systems in the game. Gatling is very similar to the laser version once the respective advantages and drawbacks of ballistic guns are considered. For example, their ability to penetrate shields is balanced by their limited ammunition capacity because they're ballistics. Target on foot or only aerial threats. Only targets torpedoes, missiles, and small ships in this priority order. So if somebody is attacking you in a tonk, this will not help you. Can the PDT be swapped for other types? Yes, obviously. They're not going to just sell you three of them and be like, nope, sorry. Does the PDT remain active when the player leaves? Yes. What interior features does the MDC have? That's a good question. Cut down the interior based on the MTC, while the space previously used for armor and mission crates is now occupied by the PDT mount. It still includes a weapon rack and personal storage, that's cool, for the crew's essential gear, but it lacks kind of the quote-unquote living space. We still don't have a non-medical vehicle that has a bed in it. Like, I don't even think the Lynx has a bed in it. Anyway, guys, that is it for Argo, Greycat, and Consolidated Outlands Day. Let me know which one of these manufacturers is your favorite, or if you picked up one of these or 20 of these, and how badly you plan on trolling people with it. All right, gang. Catch you next time.